I have horrible vision. Yeah. No, no, I just meant in a
Whatever your beliefs, whatever your age, and whomever you love, you are welcome here. As we work together for justice, compassion, and peace, we also acknowledge with humility that our buildings sit on land originally part of the Monacan Nation. My name is Courtney Senna. I've been a member of this church for almost 18 years, and I am your new Director of Lifespan Education. If you are with us for the first time, we are glad you chose to be here this morning to participate in the service for this church community we love. We would be happy to tell you more about our community during virtual social time following the service. If you would like to receive our monthly newsletter and Friday email updates, please fill out the virtual visitor card found on our website, uulynchburg.org, under Sunday services, or fill out the yellow card found in the back of the chair in front of you. When you fill it out, you may put it in the offering basket. You may also wish to join our Facebook group. Our scheduled speaker for this morning has COVID. We wish Lauren a speedy recovery. We will reschedule a time for her to speak this fall. This morning, we will welcome our Generosity Sunday speaker from Miriam's house, Leah Wiebe. Our office will be closed this Monday and Wednesday, so Candace can enjoy a little end of summer break. Please note that this summer, our young people meet in their classes from the beginning of the service. If your young person would like to stay in the sanctuary, there are activity bags with activities, both in the foyer and in the hall next to the elevator. Our young adult group will meet on Tuesday at 7 p.m. in Unitarian House. Join us if you consider yourself a young adult. For more info, please contact Reverend Terry or see her after the service. Now I invite us to release our worries about the world and our own lives as we enter into the service by taking some slow, calming breaths. As we enter our time of worship, we light the flame of our chalice, sharing these words. May the light we now kindle inspire us
to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of life. Thank you, Courtney. Our opening words this morning are from George Odell. We need one another when we mourn and would be comforted. We need one another when we are in trouble and afraid. We need one another when we are in despair, in temptation, and need to be recalled to our best selves again. We need one another when we would accomplish some great purpose and cannot do it alone. We need one another in the hour of success when we look for someone to share our triumphs. We need one another in the hour of defeat, when with encouragement we might endure and stand again. We need one another when we come to die, and would have gentle hands prepare us for the journey. All our lives we are in need, and others are in need of us. I invite us to rise in body or spirit as we share together hymn number 325, Love Makes a Bridge.
Love makes a bridge from heart to heart and hand to hand. Love finds a way when laws are blind and freedom bend. Love breaks the walls of language, gender, class, and age. Love gives us wings to slip the bars of every cage. Love lifts the hopes that force and fear have beaten down. Love breaks the chains and gives us strength to stand our ground. Love rings the bells of wanted birth and wedding day. Love guides the hands that promise more than words can say. Love makes a bridge that winds may shake, yet not destroy. Love carries faith through life and death to endless joy.
I'd like to invite Lori Weeby to come up. This month, our Generosity Sunday charity is Miriam's House, and we're so glad that you could be here this morning. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you all for having me here to share a little bit about the work of Miriam's House. I'm Leah Weeby, the Director of Administration and Community Engagement at Miriam's House. And I know many of you are familiar with us, but I'll give a little update for those of you who are, and a little bit of info for those of you who aren't. For nearly 30 years, Miriam's House has been working in this community to end homelessness. We have a variety of homeless response programs that are solution focused and aim to meet the individual needs of each person experiencing homelessness. At Miriam's House, we believe that everyone deserves the safety and dignity of a home. We believe that housing is a basic human right, and we believe that ending homelessness is possible. Our programs work alongside our community's most vulnerable homeless neighbors to ensure that they can leave homelessness behind and that they're empowered to rebuild their lives with dignity and restored hope. As we all know, the past few years have been quite uncertain, and we've seen that in our work as well. In 2021, we served 303 of our homeless neighbors, and already in 2022, we've served 317 of our homeless neighbors. So we know that the need is great. At Miriam's House, our work is rooted in 4 principles: housing, community, empowerment, and support. We operate an on-site program just off Rivermont Avenue called Magnolia Street Supportive Housing. At that location, we have 11 units that are dedicated to serving chronically homeless women in our community. And then our largest program is our community-based program called Community First. And through that program, we work with a network of landlord partners throughout our community to ensure that individuals and families can be returned to the safety of a home as quick as possible. And we step in as an advocate for those individuals and families and just remove whatever barriers are in place to getting them housed. So whether that's first month's rent, security deposit, utility deposits, anything we can do to get those families back into housing and back into our community. And then our really skilled team goes into those homes and continues to work with those families so that they have the tools and resources to remain self-sufficient. So before we step away, we want to know that they're going to be stable in that housing. And we track all of our families and individuals that we work with. 98% of them do not become homeless again, which tells us that those interventions that we're using are working, as well as that cycle of homelessness for these families and individuals is not continuing again and again. Our doors are open and our work continues because we have an incredible community. I always like to say our work is a reflection of the community that stands with us. And that community includes you all. You all have been supporters of our work for a long time. And that support looks so many different ways. It's financial gifts, it's volunteering, it's advocacy, it's just raising awareness about who we are and what we do. And that makes a lasting impact, both on the families we serve and on the strength of our organization. So I invite you to join with us in that work, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Laura. And thank you for stepping in at the last minute. Yeah, there's a lot of that this week, so.
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for
Thank you.
so much. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
The ministries of our church are supported by the love, talent, and efforts of our many volunteers and staff, as well as the monetary support of members and friends. If you found this church to be of value in your life, then I invite you to put something in the offering basket. And also, if you want to make a donation to Miriam's house, you can either put it in the basket in the memo line marked Miriam's house, or if you're paying online, you can put Miriam's house in the memo on your donation. As a community, we commit ourselves to a unity of spirit to make manifest a more just, peaceful, and loving world. And certainly our monthly support of a particular charity, such as Miriam's House, is really important to embody our beliefs and also support those who need our help. We receive our offering with gratitude, knowing that gifts given in love and hope continue a cycle of love and hope.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Let us pause as the recording. Spirit of life and love, we hold up today all our beloveds, family, friends, the wonderful diversity of life on this planet of ours. We hold up also our concern that human beings are affecting the welfare of our whole planet. We give thanks for organizations like Miriam's House that can help us find ways to contribute to the welfare of the people who are most vulnerable in our community. We give thanks for community, for this community, which teaches us the way of the heart, the way of the mind, and that faith need not be based in fear, but can always be based in love. This we ask in the name of all that is sacred. Amen. One thing we talked about before the service started, if folks want to have lunch together, let's just gather up here and figure out. And did we decide on a place?
Market at Main, Boonesboro.
Okay, Market at Main on Boonesboro. So if some of y'all on Zoom are ready to take off your bedroom slippers and put shoes on and meet us at Market at Main, we'll be there. But
It's in the Food Line Shopping.
the Food Line Shopping Center at Boonesboro. Thank you, David. Okay, some of y'all may be disappointed that Lauren isn't here to talk about faith and sexuality, but we're going to save that for when she can come back. As I was thinking about this service, I found a quote that I shared with the Connections Committee the other night. It reflects how we Unitarian Universalists try to take folks as they are. Brene Brown wrote, "I was so shocked to learn that the opposite of belonging is fitting in." Because fitting in is assessing a group of people and changing who you are. But true belonging never asks us to change who we are. It demands we be who we are. So my friends, we welcome you as you are. Please don't change to fit in. Come with all your questions, concerns, and excitement about your spiritual journey. Over the last few weeks, I've been privileged to have a number of really wonderful conversations with folks. I thought today I'd share some of my thoughts about the questions I was hearing. Some of this may be old information to those of you who have been in this community for a long time, but it's information that I think we need to reinforce over and over again. Some of the questions relate to what is Unitarian Universalism anyway, especially what are the foundational beliefs. Also, how is being a Unitarian Universalist different from being a traditional Christian? Then there's the question, why have I never heard of Unitarian Universalism sooner? I didn't hear about it till I was 40, so I understand that question. Another query or concern I encountered this summer is about how we stay sane and grounded in our beliefs during these chaotic days. Though we have seen some hopeful signs this week, most of us are living with existential worry about our future all the time. I hope that we can grapple with that during our service on August 21st, when Caleb Garuli and I will share a service based on his thesis research. The service is entitled Morality in the Apocalypse. Isn't that a great title? I wish I'd come up with it. And we're doing that because it's an important issue to contemplate during this time in history, and definitely fodder for good discussion. So how do Unitarian Universalists see the world differently than more conservative faith traditions? The reality is, and I know I've said this before, it's a different worldview. We ground our beliefs in love. Now, there are lots of churches that will say that, as in the next sentence, they talk about hellfire and damnation. We ground our beliefs in love. I didn't really understand how my psyche was shifting until I'd been a Unitarian Universalist about 5 years. And I realized as I changed my ordination to Unitarian Universalism that I literally could not say certain words from the United Methodist communion ritual. I'm not worthy so much as to pick up the crumbs from under the table. It was then I realized that not believing in original sin offered me a freedom to trust the universe in a new way, to affirm original blessing. If singing Jesus Loves Me, which was my favorite when I was growing up, is undergirded with the belief that we are born in sin, then what kind of love is that? Sometimes when we leave our church of origin, we begin our spiritual search or inquiry with the most basic, fundamental human question: what can I trust? Or is there anything that's truly trustworthy in the world today? And we know that many children raised without adequate love, food, clothing, housing, health care may never feel that there is a safe answer in life. That's tragic. But most of us have foundational beliefs about what we can trust in the world. These beliefs help us live meaningful lives. Can I trust that even if life is challenging, there is a foundation of love that is deeper than whatever I'm enduring? Is my faith a place where I can truly fit, where I belong. Most of us who find Unitarian Universalism come with these or other questions. Going back to the Brene Brown quote, we want to fit in to a faith because we fear we aren't good enough, then my faith is not truly based in love. Universalism has always professed that there is nothing that you or I can do that is outside of love, sacred unity, God. We are always good enough, beloved. The last statement in our mission statement says, we live love in the world. We can state that because we trust that love is our foundation. That core belief is reflected in the Sufi chant that I've made y'all chant before, Ishq Allah Mabud Layla, meaning God is love, lover, and beloved. It's a huge circle that brings everything in. When I chant it, I really feel it in my heart. It reminds us that everything is sacred. There is nothing outside of that creative love, the spirit of life. From an earth-centered perspective, it means that all of creation was created in love. This is exactly what the creation stories in Genesis say. Creation came into being and it was declared as good. So the worldview of universalism and Unitarian Universalism tells us that whoever we are, whatever we do, we are beloved. Sometimes we have to hear that over and over and every day. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't consequences for our actions, but no soul will be condemned for eternity. Sadly, there are parts of the Christian community today that base their theology not in the loving teachings of Jesus, but in dogma based in fear, which can really dominate the core of one's life. If one can't trust God to offer unconditional love, then how can we live freely in the world? This existential fear, as we've seen in our culture, can then turn into hate, racism, oppression of others, and ultimately oppression of oneself. From the earliest days of Jesus's teachings, the thread of universalism wove itself, often in hiding, to create a theological fabric of love and justice and hope. What does that mean for people who find their way here, even when the front door is stuck or the door up there got locked or something? When we find our way in here, well, it means that one's concept of spirituality and how one sees one's relationship with the sacred, however you name that, is not based in fear. I can't say that often enough. If God is truly a loving God, no souls would be condemned for eternity. When we have a naming and dedication service for an infant or young child, I often explain to visiting family that this is not baptism. Even though water is part of the ritual, we do not believe that children are born in sin. We bless the child, welcome them into our family and their family. It's part of life's blessing. For some people, it can actually feel incomprehensible that a religion can be based in love, not fear. How is it different, or how might it be different to wake up each morning trusting the universe? A story from the time that Europeans brought Unitarian and Universalist ideas to this continent has been that people could and do choose to be kind and loving on their own without fearing hellfire and damnation. One of my favorite stories, which I hope I haven't told more than once, but I just love it. It's about the circuit riding days of Universalist circuit riding preachers in the late 1700s, early 1800s. I can't remember the date. It was one of the Ballou brothers, but there are these two circuit riding preachers, and they meet each other on the path. One's a Calvinist who goes from town to town telling everybody they're going to hell, and the Universalist coming along saying, God is a loving God. No one's going to be condemned for eternity. So the Calvinist preacher starts up a conversation with the Universalist and says, if your people don't have to fear the fires of hell, what would keep me from just knocking you over the head, stealing your horse and all your possessions? Logical question if you're a Calvinist, I guess. And the Universalist minister said, if you were a Universalist, that thought would never enter your mind. So there was this ability to say, yes, we can do good in the world. And yes, humans are imperfect beings. Yes, there is sin in the world. We need to unpack that word in another sermon. But at the end of the day, we base our faith in love. We need not be threatened into doing good. We choose to do good in the world because we trust that we are unconditionally loved. Nothing can shake that truth. And so out of gratitude and acknowledgement that other people are loved too, we choose to do good. If we're Unitarian Universalists who are non-theistic or earth-centered, we come to the same conclusion because we affirm that we are all part of the interdependent web of life. We are woven into it just like the skunk that moved into my front yard, and even the ticks, although I might leave them out of the interdependent web of existence. So we choose to do good because our reality is connected to all other beings. No creature is left out, even ticks. All of nature is guided by natural laws in which we are included. Universalism has been called the quintessential American religion. The Universalists were historically called the no-hell people. Makes sense. Our benediction today is from our forebear, John Murray, who, on preaching universal salvation, said, give them not hell, but hope and courage. Preach the kindness and everlasting love of God. Now, that was wording from the 1700s. We would probably word it differently, but the core belief is there. There have been many times over the years when people have asked me if we were the Unification Church or a New Age church. No, our beliefs in universal salvation and the unity of God are ancient. They were two of the early threads of belief about who Jesus was. First, the unity of God, which was held by many Jews who thought that Jesus was the Messiah, but believed that in the unity of God, that there was only one God, not the Trinity. The other thread, universal salvation, also emerged in another thread of thought about who Jesus was. Unitarians have long held that the Trinity is not scripturally based, and Universalists rejected sin for original blessing. So the language of original blessing, which sort of balances original sin, became more popular a few years ago when Matthew Fox's book, Original Blessing, was published. He got excommunicated as a Catholic priest because of his unorthodox research and beliefs. Matt Fox began to explore the roots of traditional Christian doctrines. He wrote that original sin is rooted in human action, while original blessing is based in the Holy One's choice to unconditionally love us. The Reverend Kathleen Law wrote, Matthew Fox writes that our lives are nurtured with curiosity, courage, kindness, and love, that they are falling toward grace, not a fall from it. Richard Rohr, a Catholic priest, echoes this understanding of falling toward grace. This affirms the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Our task then is to discover and rediscover who we are at our naked, vulnerable core. Humanity is therefore free to trust in love, grounded in right relation, shalom, wholeness with creation. And isn't that what we all long for? To be part of a community and live in the world trusting that we belong? I mean, that's part of what that wonderful drag show was about the other night. You know, it was a celebration that we all belong. Next month, our theme for the month will be belonging, which means being part of. Stephen Jenkinson wrote that the Old English prefix be has the semantic consequence of intensifying as it goes. So belonging actually means something closer to the deepening of longing. Just think for a moment about something that you have longed for in your life. Is it longing part of the reason each one of us arrived here one way or another? We longed for a place where people welcomed us just as we are. We create a space for one another to learn and grow. However, one of our continuing challenges is that we keep our light hidden under a basket. I mean, I was 40 before I found a Unitarian Universalist congregation. Often folks haven't heard about us because none of us would dare impose our beliefs on someone else. We honor each person's spiritual journey, who am I to say that my spiritual journey is the one that's right for you? As Unitarians and Universalists have continued to grow, learn, and evolve over the last 2.5 centuries, our understanding of the world has expanded. Our spiritual journeys have taken us to other cultures and religions. Out of that place of trusting the universe, Unitarians and Universalists were free to open their minds and hearts to the teachings of other great religious.
Something happened to your mic.
I think the battery gave out. Okay.
The last thing we heard was the world's great religions.
As Unitarian Universalist speakers emerged, they began to explore more widely. And I think that transcendentalists were very helpful in that breaking out of the Judeo-Christian worldview. We began to explore thinkers who were part of the Brahmo Samaj in India. Gandhi, the Buddha, all began to influence UUs. Later, the rise of humanist thinking and our reconnection with earth-centered and indigenous religions and their relationships to Mother Earth have all been woven into our theological understanding. Today, I find that my personal beliefs, while grounded in the teachings of Jesus, hold reverence for the natural world and for wisdom from other religious traditions. We all weave together the teachings that can help shape and give meaning, create a fabric for our lives. Becoming Unitarian Universalist is in part seeing the world as wondrous. Even in those days, in these days, when we can see systems and power mongers who choose greed and creed over love and justice for all. We believe that each of us can make a difference in the world. The Jewish term for that is tikkun olam, being part of the healing of the world. Our challenge is that we are called to a lifetime of learning and to be people who bring more justice, love, peace, and hope to the world. That's why Courtney's position is now a director of lifespan education, because some of the people who are excited about learning are some of our elders in the congregation. We're all learning from each other, from the youngest to the eldest. Why do we do this? Because each one of us is precious. Each one of us has something to offer each other in the world. We understand that all creation, including us, is precious, is a blessing. Let us now rise in body or spirit as we share our closing hymn. Oh, what a piece of work we are. Which I know, I picked that. I thought, it's that title sort of has different meaning today, but we're going to read it straight, not with humor. Well, you can read it with humor if you want to. Then you'd have to fit in if you had to do it just one way. So here we go, Emily.
Oh, what a piece of work are we, how marvelously wrought. The quick contrivance of the hand, the wonder of our thought, the wonder of our thought. Why need to look for miracles outside of nature's law? Humanity we wonder at with every breath we draw, with every breath we draw. But give us room to move and grow, but give our spirit play, and we can make a world of light out of the common clay, out of the common clay.
Here, I can do it. You do the words.
All right.
We're tag team.
As our service draws to a close, we extinguish the flame of our chalice as we say these words together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Our forebear John Murray shared these words. Oh, yes, I forget. I'm slow to be retrained. Go out to the highways and byways. Give the people something of your new vision. You may possess a small light, but uncover it. Let it shine. Use it in order to bring more love and understanding to the hearts and minds of men and women. Give them not hell, but hope and courage. Preach the kindness and everlasting love of God. May it be so.